Just today, O.J. Simpson passed away.
Crazy, because I know that's the one dude that you told me a long time ago that you said that you would pay $1 million if he told you the real story.
Yeah, we actually had a deal in place to do the interview for $100,000. And the agreement was that I would go into it with the status of he beat his case. So I'm not going to go into the blood evidence and all the stuff that doesn't go along with him being found not guilty or whatever else. I was just going to cover it somewhat, but I wasn't going to dig too deep into it. But I was going to get into, the whole Vegas robbery situation. I was going to get into his football career and everything else like that. And I had to work through a third person because he had a lawsuit. Remember, like the whole lawsuit that was basically brought on by Nicole Brown's family, as well as Ron Goldman's family, as well as his kids were part of that lawsuit. So he owed like tens of millions of dollars. So he couldn't get paid directly. He had to go through like a third party to get paid, right?
Oh, wow.
And as we're negotiating it, they were like, well, we need the money in cash. And I'm like, all right, that's a doable. Fill out a W-9, give us an invoice. That's cool. I've done cash transactions before. And then it was like, yeah, and I'm going to need the full amount before he walks in the door. And I was like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that because he could basically take the money and drive off.
Yeah.
Or 10 minutes in, he could be not feeling and walk off like Playboy Cardi and Aiden Ross.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's definitely a possibility,
and what am I going to do about it?
Right.
I'm going to have security, but he's going to have security. So I can't stop him.
Right.
I'm not going to get into a shootout over 100,000. Like, and I was like, look, I'll give you half up front, half afterwards. No. I'll give you 3/4 up front. No. Full amount only, no negotiations. So I'm like, fuck this interview then.
Wow. Yeah.
In retrospect, well, I don't know. In retrospect, I still have to stand by my business decision. I don't know why they were like that.
But I remember around that time, I feel like he ended up doing a Milk Boys interview instead of Vlad, basically.
No. He did it like around the same time.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's what kind of led into us talking about it. But it was sort of like a very nothing kind of interview.
Yeah, because they're not exactly the most like hard-hitting journalist types. Right. They're more just having a good time on camera and everything. So I feel like to them, the obligation to really get the full story was probably a lot less than it was with you. But like when they did that interview and they didn't talk about any of that stuff, like it definitely would have been a nice crown jewel for that year on Vlad TV. Like I know the way that you think about shit is that, you want to have a couple home runs a year, but based on the reaction that their interview got, it didn't really feel like anybody gave a shit or like it didn't really make that big of waves. It would have been cool if he like did an interview with you and spilled the full beans about him killing her, but then said like in the contract, you can't put this out till I die.
Yeah, that was going to happen. I mean, from what I understand, I think like Ron Goldman's family chimed in on this, was that he didn't confess anything on his deathbed. And I guess he was surrounded by family members and stuff like that, but he kept his mouth shut to the end.
And you got to respect that because we're surrounded by rappers and shit who are eager to tell on themselves. And so the fact that he held it down, even though he did write a book that he basically confessed to it,
I read through that book. It was very, he didn't really confess to it. He
really?
kind of alluded to it and said there was other people involved or something, but I don't know.
Yeah, because I got hit with this memory of myself when I was seeing that OJ died today. And it's this memory of myself in like 5th and 6th grade when the OJ trial was going down. And my main media diet at that time was The Source and XXL. And I had clearly gained the perspective that black people, for the most part, thought OJ was innocent. Mm-hmm. And so I was riding with that opinion when I was 11 or 12. Like my parents still to this day will mention how fucking annoying I used to be when I was in elementary school because I would be talking about how OJ was innocent all the time. And it's just when I look back on that and just think about like how bad I was trying to fit in by like having that fucking stupid ass opinion. But then at the same time, I mean, I see people pushing that agenda on Twitter today, to this day, still going hard with the OJ's innocent verdict perspective, which I can't really get behind at this point.
Well, yeah, like right when he died, I actually did a poll. I mean, of course, people are upset about the poll, but people are going to be upset. I said, now that O.J. Simpson passed away, do you think he killed Nicole and Ron? We're approaching 3,000 votes now. 53% said yes, 31% said no, and 16% are undecided. So about half the people think he did it. 15% are kind of on the fence, and 35% or 30% feel.
Do you remember when the internet was kind of promised to us as this place that was going to create such a free flow of information that it was going to be very easy for everybody to sort of like land on what the truth was? It doesn't really seem like that's worked out so much.
In this case?
When you see such a huge percentage of people that are able to be fooled by this ridiculous narrative, I mean, I don't know.
Well, he was found not guilty. Listen, that holds for something.
Yeah.
That holds for something. Was Mark Furman a racist? Yes. Did the glove not fit? It didn't. Now there's reasons. You know, I've seen the documentary. He was on like medication that he stopped taking that caused his hands to swell. There's that. You know, but at this point, we're never going to know. It's going to be an unanswered question. The only person alive potentially to see it was him. Right? There's no other witnesses.
Yeah.
I interviewed Kato Caitlin.
Oh, right. I know.
He thinks he did it.
Yeah.
Based on the timeline of him hanging out with OJ. They went to McDonald's right before the murder occurred. And he showed up back in the house after the murder occurred. He tried to say that Kato was with him the whole time. Kato was like, oh, no, I wasn't. Let me get up out of here. He's trying to pin this on me. Nah, I'm good.
Right.
He bounced. He took the stand. And he wasn't really one way or another. You know, they tried to label him a hostile witness, but he wasn't a hostile witness. He was just, listen, I'm just going to tell you what I saw. Mm-hmm. I was cool with Nicole. I took care of her kids. I lived with her. But at this point, I don't know. I personally think he did it, but I just have an opinion.
But like 43% of people thinking that he didn't do it, to me is just kind of
31% think he didn't do it.
I guess that's
and 16% are unsure.
Yeah, and it's like anytime you do any kind of poll online, it's like you have to remember that there's a huge percentage of people that are just going to go with the most antagonistic verdict on everything. Like,
right.
If we were live streaming this interview right now and we said, hey, do you guys want me and Vlad to, you know, cut our own heads off? It's like a large percentage of people are going to want to see us do that. If you're going to say, hey, do you want to see Vlad light the drum set on fire and burn this whole place down? Probably like 80% of people are going to say do it. So you have to always kind of remember that most people who are watching a live stream or voting on an online poll are a lot more concerned with being entertained than being honest.
Right. And let me just save the comments that are about to happen. Two white guys talk about black people business, culture vultures. Keep talking about your own kind. Stop talking about us. Stop making money. Rah, rah, rah,
2014 ass argument, you know. Anybody who still thinks they're gonna like get some points by being like you're a culture vulture, I'm just like, bro, that is 10 years ago. Like nobody's being fooled by that shit anymore.
Right.
You got to change with the times.